Imagine waking up one day in a room you don't recognize. Faces of strangers greet you, and even your own reflection stares back at you with an air of quiet betrayal. You have no recollection of who you are, where you've been, or the experiences that shaped you. In that moment, stripped of your memories, who are you? Let's find out. Memory is often considered the foundation upon which identity is built. It serves like an archive of our collective life experiences from joys and sorrows to pivotal transformations. The French philosopher Paul Ricoeur described memory as the narrative thread that stitches together the fabric of our lives. They anchor us in time, giving continuity to our lives and shaping the narrative that defines who we are. But this reliance on memory raises a profound question. If our memories define us, does their absence erase us? Philosopher John Locke argued that personal identity is inseparable from memory, suggesting that the continuity of self depends on our ability to remember past experiences. In his view, to lose one's memory is to lose one's very essence. Yet, as compelling as Locke's theory is, it fails to account for the complexities of human identity. After all, memory is fickle, it distorts, fades, and sometimes outright deceives. If our sense of self rests on such an unstable foundation, perhaps we should look deeper for answers. Philosopher David Hume, on the other hand, rejected the idea of a unified, continuous self. Instead, he proposed the bundle theory, which sees the self as a collection of fleeting perceptions, that is, thoughts, sensations, and feelings, without a core identity. Memory for Hume doesn't define the self, it merely gives the illusion of continuity by linking discrete experiences together. He argued that when he introspected, he never found a self, but these ever changing perceptions. But is it really the case that there is no core self at all? Now, while autobiographical memories, that is, your memory of personal life events and facts that shape your sense of self, form a significant part of identity, they are not the whole story. Beneath it all lies the implicit self, a collection of instincts, habits, and other innate tendencies. Think of emotional conditioning or the subconscious imprint of feelings and reactions. For example, you may not remember a traumatic event, but you would still feel uneasy when faced with a similar situation. Then there is muscle memory, that is, the skills and habits that you learned over time. You would still remember how to ride a bike or play an instrument even in the absence of explicit memory. Not to mention that learned patterns and language formed through repetition form neural networks that persist even when your autobiographical memories are gone. These aspects of identity often operate independently of conscious recollection. Conditions like Alzheimer's and even severe amnesia are highly demonstrative. Someone who suffers from amnesia, even without access to their past, they still exhibit preferences, talents, and distinct personality traits. Like someone might have a calm demeanor or an aversion to risk. So if you stripped away every memory, what might remain? Some suggest that it's our innate qualities, our temperament, creativity, and maybe even a moral compass. Others point to the body, which retains a record of lived experience in its movements, reactions, and instincts. And perhaps this taps into the eternal debate on free will, because if certain choices are hard coded into us, then we are not really fully in control of our choices. But then, if we consider the existence of neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections in response to learning and intentional behavior, we invite into the conversation the thought that while our choices may be influenced by existing neurological pathways and subconscious patterns, we still have the ability to retrain our brains through conscious effort, enabling us to transform these patterns over time. For example, overcoming a certain phobia through exposure therapy. This would still, of course, require awareness, repetition, and time, but it does suggest that there is the possibility to reshape these constraints over time, given that the will exists, of course. But let's come back to memory and the self. Imagine a future where your memories and thoughts are uploaded into a digital consciousness, like an advanced AI of some sort. Would this allow you to survive the mortality of the body? Would this virtual you be a true continuation of your identity or merely a facsimile? Now, if your memories and thoughts are uploaded intact, this digital version might seem to be you because it possesses your narrative history, preferences, and personality traits. From an external perspective, it could even interact as you. However, the digital you would lack the physical brain and body that give rise to qualia, or the subjective first person experiences of being. Without this, it may have your memories but not your sentience, making it more of a facsimile than a true continuation. But what about if we transplant your brain into a different body? Would that person be you? To you, would the experience feel like waking up in a new body? Or would the body memory and physiological/chemical makeup still make it fall short of being you? Would hormones and sensory inputs from the new body influence your emotions, reactions, and even cognitive processes over time, which might gradually reshape you? Then there is the concept of the soul, or an enduring essence that transcends memory. Whether viewed through spiritual or secular lenses, this idea proposes that who we are is more than the sum of our remembered experiences. But memories are not mere records of the past, they are ultimately the architects of the narratives we weave about our existence. They give structure to the chaos of experience and define the essence of who we believe ourselves to be. Yet, in doing so, they can become both the foundation of our identity and the walls that confine it, reinforcing stories that may no longer serve us. These narratives often blur the line between truth and interpretation. A failure can grow into a defining flaw, a heartbreak into a narrative of inadequacy, simply because we replay and rewrite these memories in ways that reinforce these patterns. If you were to wake up without your past failures, or what you tell yourself to be a failure at least, then maybe you find that the self becomes a reactive entity, shaped entirely by external stimuli rather than internal continuity. Engaging with life purely in the now could reveal an unrestricted, instinctive self that isn't weighed down by past experiences. You may find that, stripped of biases or learned strategies, connections might arise more organically based on the energy of the moment rather than historical context. At the end of the day, memory does exist. So, is it possible that exists to tie together what makes a person who they are? What if memory is not just a feature of the self, but a prerequisite for its existence? It's no longer a tool for recalling facts or events, it's the medium through which the self is constructed and continuously mutated through the lens of remembered experiences. And to ponder whether there is a self without memory is like asking whether there can be music without sound. If you have the consistent and continuous memory of enjoying thought-provoking videos, then you might also enjoy this video about whether language can actually restrict your thought.